you, especially this time of year. We are joined by Dr. Nigma Talib, a naturopathic practitioner and best-selling author of several books, including this one, Reverse the Signs of Aging. Good morning to you, Dr. Talib. Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
This is so interesting to me. Okay, so this is the time of year that we're all indulging, maybe more so than usual, in a lot of those holiday treats and drinks. So how are all of these popular holiday foods and dishes affecting our skin?
Well, it's interesting during this time. It's not so much about eating during the season, it's the after eating. So we have to just be mindful of that there's an 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time you eat optimal and the other 20% during Christmas and the holidays, you can eat what you want. But I created the 4 phases of aging: gluten face, dairy face, sugar face, and wine face, because after eating these foods, it tends to show up on your skin.
Okay, so let's talk about the 4 phases, and we're going to start with sugar. I think that's the first one we have. Okay, so kind of walk me through what we're looking at here and what happens when you eat certain foods, and let's talk about what those are.
So if you remember anything from this, remember sugar equals skin sagging. When you have sugar, it causes something in your body called glycation, which causes your collagen to actually not work optimally. So you then tend to get thinning skin, sagging under the eyes, sort of the gaunt look, fine lines and wrinkles. So anyone who's finding that they're aging prematurely, you might want to look at, what you're eating. Sugar causes skin sagging, and it is one of the biggest agers for skin.
Okay, when I think sugar, your first thought is, maybe you're eating candies and cookies, but we're also talking about alcohol, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I also called it wine face, another face, because wine acts very similar to sugar, except then it's got the other toxic effects of alcohol that, causes damage to the liver over a period of time. But it also causes that sort of, nasal, I guess we'll get into the wine face in a minute, but it does have a similar effect as sugar face.
Okay, let's go to the gluten face then. Okay, what do we see when it comes to gluten, and why is it so bad?
So gluten is found in barley, rye, oats, wheat, spelt, and kamut. And gluten is in a lot of different gravies and ingredients. And more we're becoming more educated on the fact that you don't have to have celiac disease to avoid gluten. A lot of people have issues with gluten. What you have is you get spots on the forehead, so pimples, puffy cheeks because it causes inflammation in the gut, and also particularly you can get pigmentation around the chin and dark patches around the chin. And I correlated that to intestinal permeability, people that are not having optimal digestion and absorption.
Interesting. Okay, let's move on to the next one, and this is what we were referring to earlier. Next one is dairy face, though, right?
Yes, so we know that dairy is super inflammatory and it causes congestion. Quite often you'll have like a dairy-rich meal and you'll find that your sinuses are congested after. So what happens is you tend to get the swollen eyelids, even on the top of the eyelids, bags and dark circles under the eyes, also acne, particularly around the chin area, because we look at traditional Chinese mapping and we see that that's the area for gynecological issues. So I quite often get my patients off dairy, and all of these issues resolve, and so did some of their hormonal imbalances.
Okay, so our next one then we have up, I think actually it's what we already talked about, which was the wine face.
Wine face. Yeah, so it's similar to the sugar face. You get the deepened nasolabial folds, the folds we don't want, the fine lines and wrinkles under the eyes, quite a redness to the skin. So these are the people that are drinking wine every day, like to settle down at the end of the day. So, again, the 80-20 rule, not maybe every day, but once in a while.
Okay, so that brings me to, after seeing all these faces, I'm thinking I can't eat sugar, I can't have gluten, I can't have dairy, and I can't enjoy wine. Okay, doctor, come on. What can I do?
You know what? It's so funny. We're so used to these foods as being the staple foods, but there's so many other amazing, foods out there that, like fruits, vegetables, proteins. I mean, there's so much you can eat. That's what I want, my patients and people out there listening to think about, is that there's more out there that you can eat, and just avoiding these foods as much as you can make a huge difference on your skin and your overall well-being.
Very good. Okay, so let me ask you a personal question. How often do you enjoy a glass of wine?
That's it. Well, over the holiday seasons more often than I would like to. But again, that's why it's the 80-20 rule, right?
Right.
So when
Yeah.
in Rome, I'm going to have a glass of wine and a bowl of pasta. But as long as I'm not doing it every day, it's not
Sure.
going to show up on my face or show up in my health as badly as it would have if I'm doing it every day.
And I'm going to have to think twice before I have that sugar cookie I was hoping to have after lunch today. But Dr. Nigma Talib, thank you so much for joining us again. The name of the book is Reverse the Signs of Aging. What's a website people can go to learn more about you?
Sure, it's healthydoc.com.
Very nice. Happy holidays to you. And you're making me think twice, which is a good thing about what I'll be consuming. Good to have you on.